and welcome back to our monthly Ask Aspire interview. Today we're joined by George Parapadakis, Aspire's Research Director. Welcome, George.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Lisa. Good to be here.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it's great to have you here. In previous Ask Aspire interviews, Casper and Will have touched on the complexity of the CCM, CXM market. And one of the things I wanted to ask you was really to get your thoughts on how this extends to the organizations that operate in the space, you know, how they're categorized, and is there actually a risk that we would oversimplify things?
Yes, sure. Absolutely. There's definitely a danger of oversimplifying. When we are trying to group together different vendors and compare them in a simple 2x2 matrix, the tendency is to look for common denominators that they all have and assess them comparatively based on those denominators. But at the same time, the vendors themselves are doing the best they can to differentiate from each other. So they're trying to bring their own unique features into the market. So at Aspire, when we talk to a lot of different vendors, they cover a broad spectrum. Some of the vendors will deliver a capability that's one of the capabilities as a licensed software that clients can deploy in their own IT environment, either on premises or in the cloud. That's great for large enterprises with complex requirements and extensive IT skills. We have other vendors who deliver the same functionality as a hosted managed service, which is great for smaller and medium enterprises who want to maintain control of the process, but don't want to run the software themselves in their own IT environment. They want to minimize their IT footprint, so different requirements. Sure. We have other vendors who offer exactly the same functionality, but as an outsourced process service. So some vendors will offer a very highly specialized tool for one or two specific capabilities that solve a specific problem, whereas other vendors will offer a platform that covers a whole broad range of CCM tools as an integrated platform, right? So they're all very different. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. And trying to lump them together into a simple binary category, you risk missing out on these key nuances and differentiators that make them individual. So that's not fair for the vendors, but also it's not very useful for the buyers.
So I guess the next obvious question is, you know, how is the Aspire Leaderboard evolving to reflect this? Because it's a complex issue, right? So, you know, how are we sort of viewing the market and how are we addressing this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So having a single evaluation graphic with every vendor on it makes very little sense, because it's as useful as emptying a whole box of puzzle pieces on the floor and trying to guess the picture. It's just not very useful for buyers and the enterprises looking looking to navigate the way around this market. So as the leaderboard itself matures, we're focusing a lot of our effort on making it as dynamic as we can. Last year, we already introduced a separate category of service providers, giving the leaderboard users a broader choice of how they get this capability, but also a set of selection and filtering criteria, which allows them to customize the leaderboard to suit their requirements. Yeah. This year, we're taking this concept even further. So we try to guide buyers to select the most relevant vendors for them based on their individual criteria and the business problems they're trying to solve. So we're giving them a lot more choices on how they want to see, what views they want of the leaderboard, and then through that surfacing the right vendors for them to speak to and to look at the details. So the whole CCM and CXM is a broad market space, right? And it's continuously evolving. So we're looking at the leaderboard as a dynamic gateway to that market. Yeah. And we will carry on improving it as we collect user feedback, both from the vendor community, who obviously want to participate and be on that spectrum and on that leaderboard, but also from the enterprise buyers as we learn more and more and see how they use it and what works best for them. All of that goes back into the design of the leaderboard. So we hope that every leaderboard user will reach out to us and let us know their thoughts on what would make it more useful as a selection tool for them. So hopefully that answers the question.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, George. Really interesting to hear how the Aspire Leaderboard's evolving with the market and sort of reacting to the change there. So that's great.
It's a continuous process.
Yeah, absolutely. Never stopping.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for joining, and thanks
Very
everyone.
welcome.
Thanks everyone for joining as well. We'd love to get your thoughts and questions for future Ask Aspire videos. So do send us an email on the address below, or drop us a comment. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Lisa. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.